Good morning. Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to What Has Changed Your Life. I am your host, Tracy, and today we have a fantastic guest. She is a life coach. She is a motivational speaker. She is pretty awesome and pretty badass, if I do say so. Her name is Susan Crawford, and today we are going to talk about what shit your mama didn't tell you. It's about to get real right now. We are going to talk about things that we have grown up with as from young girls to women, about what we are supposed to be expected to do in the status quo, and we're going to break all those myths down. Susan, welcome so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for those who are signing on and watching. Yeah, this is going to be real talk. We're not sugarcoating it anymore.
No. So if you want your friends, like and share this video, and let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Yes.
Susan, how did you get into this work that you are doing? Tell everybody what it motivated you to change and make that big change for yourself.
Yeah, probably the most prevalent thing in my life that made me make this change to become a coach was being in a really toxic job. And realizing that was a hamster wheel that I did not want to be on. It was impacting my family life, my mental and emotional well-being. I was not happy. And so it took a little while to put a plan together that made sense, that wasn't like completely irrational, but put the blocks together so I could take the step to finally quit that job in 2018 and pursue coaching as a full-time career, and haven't looked back since. And I tell you, those are the moments where your character is formed. Those are the moments where people look at you and say, oh my God, why would you leave the paycheck, the benefits, the vacation days, the pension? And I say, because I was not willing to exchange my soul. And that's what it was. Yeah. And so since then I've been working with women, a lot of them predominantly moms, who are overwhelmed, who are people pleasers, who don't know how to say no to others, who rarely say yes to themselves because they've been told it's selfish, you shouldn't, you should be the martyr, everyone is able to rely on you and take from you. God forbid you give anything to yourself. So I want to teach women how to stop doing that and also find their way back to themselves, because we've lost ourselves as soon as we become moms. That is the title we carry. Very important title, but we also have to understand that we are still part of that. That is part of the whole. So that's the mission, and it's what I do myself. So,
and the thing about women, we're almost taught from a very young age that this is the role, this is the box that you need to put yourself in. You need to do these things by these rules, and this is how it's going to go.
And by these times, right? We have milestones that we're supposed to do. So you finish school, you meet the person, you get married, you get the house, and of course you have to have kids, because that's also part of your gender role. And then from the time you have kids, you become a mom and you devote everything to your kids and to your partner. And I'm sorry, you have dreams? No, I'm sorry. Those have to wait until they're old enough and they're moved out. And what? Like, how many women are living in this spiral of having a life, but saying, how the hell did I get here? Like waking up every morning in Groundhog Day saying, well, this isn't what I expected. It's actually not what I want. So how do we break out of that cycle is the big question that I get to ask every single day.
Exactly. Anne says, hi, ladies.
Hi,
and she also says, thank you for hosting this event. You are very welcome. So what women need. I agree 1,000%. You know, when I started my little side hustle with my fitness, I'll tell you, Susan, I actually lost friends because they said, you're obsessed. So they took my dream, right, that I'm passionate about, my dream. And they're like, well, you talk about it too much, so we're not gonna talk to you anymore, because this is, you know, obsessive.
And you know what the sad thing about that is? The sad thing about that is usually when you get that response, and that could be anybody doing MLM stuff like Arbonne and Monet and all those other things, you become obsessive because it's something that you believe in and it's something that's yours. You're not like obsessing over your kids and their achievements. You're saying, this is mine and I'm proud of it. And the reason why so many usually women get upset about that is because they haven't gotten they don't have something like that of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's because they feel they can't do something like that, and it gets them angry, right? Like, why can't I do that? I feel trapped in my life. I don't have time for it. And it's like, well, how come you get that? How come you get to go do something you love to do and then talk about it all the time and I can't?
Exactly.
It's like underlying competitive comparison. And it's really sad because, you know, it comes down to choices. When you decided to do Kangaroo Club, it was a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It was a choice to do something for you that you wanted to share, that you were passionate about. Same with me in coaching. It's like, I love it. And I want to talk about it. And I think everybody should have a coach. But if that's not where you're at, you're going to lose people because they don't get it.
They don't get it. Anne also says, I love this. That's the rule. Amanda, sorry, pardon me. Yes, exactly. F the rules. I just got so excited about that quote. I loved it.
Because those are the rules. You're not allowed to break the rules. You're not allowed to step outside the line. You're not allowed to do anything that isn't what was originally expected of you. And
then when you don't do what you're supposed to do, people make you feel guilty. Like there are women that do not want to have children.
Yeah.
And I've had women say to me, I don't want kids. That's okay.
Yeah.
But they're made to feel guilty, like they're less than because they didn't do this accomplishment in life.
They didn't do their job, right?
Right?
And so we look at that and then we shame ourselves, we shame others. We feel like we haven't accomplished what society tells us that we should have accomplished at this age by this time. And for what? So, oh my goodness, you have your own plan. You have a plan that maybe means you're going to walk a different path than everybody else. How are we going to make people feel bad about that? But it's because usually we're all stuck in this hamster wheel.
Yep.
Like, oh, envy, right? We look over and say, envy. Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Hi, Ed. Pam also says, good morning. I hope you don't mind throwing up these things up there. Good morning, Pam. So Anne says, we are trained to question women instead of supporting them. Flip the script. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. We need to learn how to, as you just said, not compare.
Yeah. You know, and I have two daughters. And of course, naturally, young kids compare. Oh, I can't do that yet. Oh, how come she gets to do that? I told them, I said, listen, popcorn pops when it's ready, right? You're not going to do anything faster than you're supposed to do something. When you're ready, it'll come.
Exactly.
So same as in adulthood in your life, if it's yours, your time will come. And if you decide that that's not your thing, then don't do it. Imagine giving yourself permission to just not do something you intuitively know you don't want. Not just because your mom told you, because somebody wrote down somewhere that this is a woman's job and to be a good wife or a good partner or a good woman. These are the things that you have to have checked off your box before you die. That's ridiculous.
Do you hear the poor dog in the background? I'm sorry. Hello, Indigo.
She's with me. She's like, yeah.
I know. She's my dad's dog. I'm looking after her right now, and I don't know what's wrong.
She can join in. She's like, you have no idea what the expectations are on me.
Yeah, and of course I'm the only one here at the moment, so she's like demanding attention that I can't give her at this moment. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. I'm just trying to pet her to calm her down a little.
Oh, good.
So how do women flip the script? How do we change the mold? How do we break free so that the next generation doesn't have to go through all these hardships that I want to call them hardships, because you know what? It's really hard to live up to an image
Yep.
That I never got the book or the script or whatever for.
Yeah.
So how do we break all that?
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the big things is actually recognizing that that is a pattern that has been passed down. So you can look at your grandmother, you can look at your mother, and you can probably see qualities in them that's like, I don't know if that's what I want for my life, but I can see myself playing out those roles. For example, how many moms are people pleasers? How many women will sacrifice their time, their energy, their attention for everybody else and not take time to replenish themselves? Right?
Yes.
That idea of rest being shameful or lazy, this notion of pushing through regardless of how broken you feel, how tired you are, because that's what a good woman does. So all of these messages are modeled in our childhood, in the media, and around us. So we pick them up and think that's the only way. You have to see the pattern before you can change it, I believe. You have to see it and say, oh, geez, I'm actually doing that. And then slow down long enough to say, am I happy with the way this is going? If you're a people pleaser, it usually means you're a giver. And givers are generally surrounded by takers. And if you continuously give, people will continuously take until you have nothing to give, and then you'll give a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's recognizing your own patterns. It's knowing that, oh, maybe this doesn't work for me because I don't feel good. I don't feel good in my body. My soul doesn't feel good. I don't feel good emotionally or mentally. I'm tired. So you come to the breaking point. Like when I was in that toxic job, I came to the breaking point where I was like, this isn't worth it. You can pay me, but this isn't worth it. Like long term, I'm a jerk at home. I'm not happy with myself. I'm putting on a happy face, but I feel dead inside.
Yes.
You know? So,
and then you become no good to the people in your house because you're driving home from work, you're pissed off from your day because whatever's gone on, you come home and you're already angry.
Yeah. And then
right? So then what do you do?
everywhere.
That, exactly. You're just like, you know, you're yelling at the kids, you're yelling at your spouse, and they're like, wow, man, you just walked in the door.
How was your day?
Right?
And look at how much it contributes to burnout and overwhelm. We lose patience. You're working at home now. Your kids are virtual learning now. So if your patience is already at the edge because you've been trying to make your life perfect, or you've been trying to do everything yourself, or you've been trying to keep everybody in your life happy, or it has to be a certain way, so you're going to micromanage everybody and everything. Doesn't end well. It never ends well.
Amanda says, I left a job and found happiness at being a stay-at-home mom. Yay!
Yes.
Awesome.
That what Amanda is pointing to is that we have choices, even when we think we don't.
Exactly. And Pam says, I would be considered a complete failure based on society's expectations of women. And we need to change that word failure. I must admit, I don't like that word because I get what Pam's saying, absolutely. But we shouldn't look at people's differences as failures.
Yeah. Well, and then she said society's expectations, right? Society may deem it a failure, but you get to redefine that. If you're very comfortable, Amanda, with leaving your job to be a stay-at-home mom, Pamela, whatever it is you're doing that may not be in the box, go with it. Because, you know, for me, at least, the worst possible outcome is to stay in a really shitty situation, whether it's a job, a relationship, an environment that doesn't serve you, and then look back one day and say, wow, you know what? Had I just done that one thing, had I just been brave enough to take that one step or to speak up or to do something different, I may not be here still complaining about what happened. I may have created a completely different life for myself. It wasn't to leave my job. My retirement date in December 2044 was not ideal for me. I don't think I would have made it mentally. I don't think I would have made it that far. It wasn't worth it. So we have to choose what we want, right?
And the reality is we can choose. It's just that we feel like we don't have that option.
Right.
As women. But we certainly can choose.
What's that?
I'm just saying, are we frozen?
Uh-oh.
I look like I'm singing. Am I frozen on your end, Susan?
You're good.
Oh, I'm frozen on my end.
I see you.
Okay, well, we'll keep going because I just let me know if I start doing something weird. Hopefully it isn't recording that way.
Has anybody seen Tracy frozen? What's the deal? What do you see? Tell us.
What do you guys see exactly? So put it in the comments so I can see, and we may have to go out and in again because my whole screen is frozen and I'm not sure. I may not see the comment actually if I'm frozen.
Come back in. We can do that.
Yeah, let me go back out and come back in. 1 second.
Now let's see if she comes back. Here she comes. I was like, let's see if she comes back.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, we're all good. Yay. Okay. No, you're not frozen. Good. Okay, perfect. Thank you, everybody, for those comments. I think that was my end. My phone went. All right, back to where we were. So, yeah, deciding that we actually do have a choice because, like you said, society has said to us all along, you don't have a choice. This is what you need to do. And I think it's almost an epiphany when it's like, oh my God, I do have a choice. And how I want my life to go.
I may have a choice and the people around me may not like it. So it's settling that understanding that you're probably going to disappoint, turn off, push away people in your life because the choice you make may not serve them. So if you're a people pleaser in your family and you're the one who does everything and you decide one day, you know what? I'm going to let you guys start taking some load here. I'm going to start letting you have some responsibility or giving you some responsibility. They're not going to like it because all of a sudden that disrupts their comfort. But for you, you are allowed to say yes to you and give yourself what it is that you need. And I think what our mamas didn't tell us was that you're allowed to give yourself permission.
Yes.
To breathe, to rest, to step away, to not do, to stop pleasing, all of those things, so that other people can step forward and start picking up some of the load that we are all carrying.
And that it's okay when we're not okay.
100%.
Right? Admitting.
Anyone who hasn't experienced burnout by now.
Say that again, sorry.
I don't know if anyone has not experienced burnout by now or some level of overwhelm this entire past year.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. I mean, I know for myself personally, we were talking about it just before we started about my nursing. And I'm like, I want to wave the white flag. Like, I am so done.
Yeah.
So done, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's totally okay.
And you know what would happen if, our moms didn't teach us just to put on a happy face, just to smile and keep pushing through? What if our moms taught us that it's okay to say, I'm struggling, I need help, I'm not doing okay, I need to step back and take a break? I bet you if you looked at social media, you'd have a lot more honest posts instead of the ones that are like, look at how happy we are, this is fantastic. Dying inside, right?
Yeah.
We're afraid to be honest about what we feel because it's not safe to be vulnerable. We haven't been taught how to be vulnerable and say, I need help. I am drowning here. I need help. And we don't know how to do that in a safe way.
Exactly. And creating that environment for women, as was pointed out earlier, supporting as opposed to breaking down.
Yeah.
Right? And how do we do that? How do we do that? That's my big question. How do we do that?
Well, for me, it starts with one person. It's like a drop in the water and the ripple effect. You see one person saying, hey guys, I'm not okay. Or I'm struggling with virtual schooling. Nurses, healthcare professionals, you guys are in the thick of it, right? Mm-hmm. And still going through. Now, you may not have the privilege to step back and say, okay, I'm done. But we need to start recognizing, like, we're probably all, to some level, to some degree, not okay. We need to start checking in on people. And when they say, oh, I'm fine. No, really, how are you? I'm fine doesn't cut it.
I'm fine. As my eyes will tonight. I'm not fine at all.
Exactly. And so, being honest and not saying, oh, well, somebody else has it worse, because that takes away your right to feel what you're feeling. It's okay.
And nobody has that nobody can take away the right to tell you how you should feel.
Exactly.
And say your feelings are not valid, because your feelings are valid.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting about that? It's usually ourselves that take away that right. I talk to a lot of clients that are like, I'm really struggling, but somebody else has it worse. I'm not interested in somebody else. You're struggling, so let's focus on that, because you're allowed to struggle too. It's not a comparison who has it worse.
Exactly. And it's not a competition either.
No.
Amanda says, I dealt with a lot of gold digger comments when I left my job. I had to really steel myself against and just push forward. Wow.
I have thoughts.
Breathe.
Crabs in a bucket, right?
Yeah.
It's one person trying to do better, get better, whether it's mental health, professional, something out of the box. Every time somebody tries to do better, there's another crab in there trying to pull them down. It's so unfortunate. It is unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate, because we need a community where we, like we said earlier, support each other, bring each other up, help us get through these hard times, and have somewhere for us to put, like, even if you just need to vent, right? Just to have somebody there that will listen to you without having, to look at you like,
right?
That look, right, that you get from people.
Yeah.
It's not a competition. We should not be competing with anyone but ourselves.
No, exactly. Because how draining is it to continuously look over at a friend or a colleague and say, oh gosh, I'm not that far ahead. Oh, I should be doing better. You're doing what you're doing.
Yep.
And if you don't like what you're doing, decide you want to change it, or figure out a way to make what you're doing different, right? It's not going to be the same path as somebody else. It's not supposed to be. It's your path. It's yours alone. But the fact that other people start looking in your lane and then judging, it's like, come on, don't you have something better to do?
Yeah.
Let me do me. And if you want to meet up on the path some way and support one another doing what it is that makes us happy, then let's do that. But don't put your negativity and your comparison and your judgment and your criticism in my lane. I don't have time for it. There's no space here for that.
No. And we need to have that voice to say that that's okay.
Yeah. And for a lot of women, particularly, it's hard to come back to that truth and speak it, because be humble, be quiet. Don't cause confrontation. If people are in your circle and they're toxic, well, keep them there, because that's what nice girls do. And it's snippity snip. You should go. If you're not
the road, Jack.
Exactly, because this isn't working for me. Like, this is not time to have that in your space if there's no room for it. Like, no need to keep it around.
If anybody has ever read there's a little, it's not a poem, but it's called Be a Lady. Be a Lady, they said. If you ever see it, you've got to read it, because it talks about all the things and all the expectations of women that we are supposed to be a lady. And we're basically, if you want to, hit the nail on the head, that is one definite piece of information that I think is very powerful about what the expectations of women are.
Yeah.
And that we need to.
Well, and I think, Trace, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, men don't have those same expectations.
Yeah, they've got different ones. I don't know what they are, but they've got different ones. So let them have theirs and have these conversations among themselves.
Exactly. They don't talk.
there's another expectation. You're not allowed to talk about your feelings if you're a real man. And it's like, come
Exactly.
on, let us just express the wholeness of ourselves. Why do we have to be shamed and like hidden behind this armor? We're all in this human experience. So let us learn from one another. Let us learn from the experiences and grow together.
Yeah.
There's space
for Exactly. And each person is different. Every single person has a different gift that they have been given to give to the world. And they should be allowed to give it without fear of some sort of retribution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned the poem, like a lady. Is that what it was called?
Be a lady, they said.
So it reminds me of Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed. I don't know if you read it, but it's a must read. It was like the freeing woman's Bible of 2020 around these things. Like, where are these expectations coming from? How can we untame ourselves from the cages that we've been put in by society? And, you know, it resonated with so many women. I ran a book club for it. A lot of the programming that I do actually pulls on some of those ideas. And it's like anybody could have written that book. Lennon wrote it, but it resonated so deeply because every single woman that it resonated with was like, yeah, that's me too. But we didn't have the words to articulate it. We didn't have the language to say, that's what I was feeling when this happened. So I think the reason that book is so successful is because she is giving voice to how so many of us have been living our lives, and we are so done with it. We are so done. So if you haven't read it, definitely pick it up. I am not
Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
Untamed, yeah.
I've read one of her other books. I like the way she puts things into perspective, for sure, 100%. So go out and get that one, guys.
I don't get royalties, but I feel like I should.
Because I think it was in your book club, wasn't it?
Yeah. We met for, I think, 10 or 12 weeks for Not Your Mama's book club. It was very unconventional, which is how I like to do things. And the women that were in it, we had about 13 women consistently come in. And it was just such a powerful space to just talk, real talk, about how much crap we have been inundated with that taught in like, and how we don't want that anymore. And imagine that we get to choose not to do it. It's very empowering, very empowering.
Yeah. Yes. And I think when we talked at the beginning about parenthood, being parents, parenting to me is the hardest job I've ever done. Harder than nursing. And we don't talk about the fact that that's a really freaking hard job. Raising these beings that don't come with a manual, that are very unscripted, and we have to figure out how to help them flourish and go out into the world. And it is like the hardest job ever.
And I think on top of that, I totally agree. And I think on top of that, we have to now reparent ourselves, because our children are our mirrors. They show us right in the face all the things that we have unresolved in ourselves, in our upbringing, in our psyche, all of that stuff. And it's like, oh shit, I've got so much work to do, because we don't want to break our kids. We see the patterns in ourselves, and we see us like handing them down to our kids and going, oh my God, I know what this is going to be like in 10 years or 15 years. And so it's not only parenting them, but it's figuring out how to reparent ourselves so that we can give them the best, like breaking the cycle here so that they don't have to repeat the pattern.
Right.
No pressure, right?
No pressure.
What?
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure at all. Well, I always joke when the kids were little that we were either saving for education or therapy, and at some point we would figure out which one it was going to.
Just make the two funds now. Make the two funds now, because it's inevitable. Because every time, I know for myself, every time my kid throws up a mirror, I'm like, oh, good thing I have a coaching call next week. It's never ending. And then I go back to my mom and go, see what you did?
No guilt, Mom.
No, right? That's okay. I'm sure I've got it coming from my kids too. So I feel like it should just spread the wealth. Spread the wealth.
I say to my kids all the time, I don't always have the tools, the right tools. And because I sometimes I don't know what I don't know.
Yep.
So then I just wing it. And like I said, they don't come with a manual, and they didn't come with a manual, and they're so uniquely different.
Yeah.
That it's tough. It's tough as a parent. And one of the things, the other thing that I find as a parent, when your kids get to a certain age, when they get to, coming to the end of high school, there's the big competition between, oh, my child is going to university.
Right. Oh, okay, that's great.
And what university is your child going to? And I'm like, yeah, my kids are going to college.
Yeah. Why does that have to be a thing? Like, who said that university was the standard? They go to trade school. Fantastic. You know what? They're probably making a shit ton of money. But the fact, what I think you're pointing to there is too, who cares?
Who cares?
That's your kid. Congratulations. Mine's going to college. Congratulations. Ooh, high five. Mine's taking a year off. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let them be.
Exactly. And I think, all of these things that we're talking about today are all things that we can all change individually. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're absolutely right. It starts here.
Yeah.
That narrative starts here. And I think that's really important. So we give all the people watching today permission to start here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Go there and love it.
Yeah. And
love it.
That part here is the give yourself compassion. Give yourself as easy.
Sorry, the dog's barfing.
This is TV.
Sorry. I'm sorry. That was just too fun. See, she's barfing on the truth.
It's just too much to handle. It's just too much.
Oh my goodness. I'll deal with that in a moment.
I lost my train of thought, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. I was just like, oh my God, they can hear the dog barfing in the background.
This is why I can only have kids, because that's pretty much my threshold right there.
Oh, Lord. We were talking about going into ourselves, to give ourselves compassion.
Yeah, because here's the thing. We give everybody else the benefit of the doubt. We give them grace. We give them empathy. And we don't give ourselves anything. We are so hard on ourselves. Those inner mean girls in our heads that are saying, you should have done more. You should have done it better. You should have. And so we beat ourselves up constantly, especially moms. I know I fall into that cycle too. And so when we can start here by being compassionate with ourselves, by being empathic with ourselves, to say, you know what, today you're doing the best you can. And that's okay.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. And that's all it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you stop the judgment so that you can just be?
Yes.
Carry on.
Oh, so true. So if somebody, tell us a little bit about your services and what you offer people and how you can help people change that narrative for themselves.
Absolutely. Well, there are 3 ways to work with me. Obviously, one-on-one coaching is for someone who wants that personalized support and accountability where it's just you and I. And that's a favorite for a lot of women because sometimes we're not used to airing our stuff yet. And so we like to figure it out, dump out Pandora's box and be like, oh my God, there's a lot here. And then we sift through it and figure out stuff. For anyone who hasn't done coaching before, I always like to say that it's different from therapy. Therapy is like looking backwards and saying, what got you here? Like what part of your experience, your upbringing, your childhood got you to this point in your life? Coaching is what's going to get you there. So we all have goals and desires that we see for ourselves or that we want for ourselves. I help you build the bridge to get there. So that's one of the fundamental differences between therapy and coaching. I have a social work background. I'm more of the forward. Let's look at this through a lens of possibility and empowerment, and let's get you there. They're a great partnership. therapy and coaching. So I always recommend do both, but we go forward. So there's the one-on-one working with me personally. I also run 2 programs. One is called Find Your Way. And as we were saying, we start here. The journey of motherhood has taken us so far away from ourselves because now we are fully invested in raising children. We are fully invested in our families, and we have forgotten our essence. We have forgotten the parts of us that make us whole, and we have reduced ourselves to this one important, but one title.
Yes.
And so the Find Your Way program is learning about the 4 coordinates that bring you back to your internal GPS. And that's compassion, it's character, it's understanding your values and what drives you, it's courage, and being able to silence those mean girls in your head and amplifying the voice of your best self, your inner truth, and then finally choice. And that again is one of those critical pieces. We have to understand that we always have choice. So it follows the idea of the hero's journey, where you have to answer the call to say, this isn't the life I want, but I know there's something more for me. And you go traveling inward till you find your essence. And then you bring all of those tools and skills back into your life and say, this is me, this is who I am, and this is how I'm choosing to show up in my life powerfully, not only for myself, but also for those around me. So that's the favorite. It's a 6-week program, so that's more of a group experience. And then the other, which is super exciting, the last program, which is new, is the mental fitness program. And that is all about positive psychology and how to harness your mind, how to build the muscles in your mind to silence your saboteurs, build self-command, and activate your sage. And your sage is the most purest part of you that will put you in the mindset to be able to be more successful, communicate better, have better relationships, be more effective. If we live in the world of our saboteurs, we feel like crap because they're judgmental, they're critical, they tell us we're not good enough, we're not giving enough, people are doing it wrong, so we have to do everything. So it's really shifting our brain matter into this sage mode. And it's a phenomenal program. I've got 6 beautiful women in it right now. And honestly, every conversation, you can just see because it's rewiring. It's rewiring how you think and live every day. So that is
so powerful. That's so powerful. Each program has its own unique thing, and it's so powerful. And it's exactly what people need to change the mindset. 100%. Nita, good morning, Nita. She was my guest last week, and dog makes it real. Yes, giving him 2 cents. Yes, she is giving her 2 cents, isn't she?
A positive 2 cents. And you know, when they get so excited, it's like that.
Well, it's just because she's just, wondering where my dad is what's happening. So she's all out of sorts. So that's what's going on with her, the poor thing. So if people want to get in touch with you, Susan, how will they do that?
You can find me on Facebook here. You can find me on Instagram. My business is called Meraki Inspired. And if I have a minute just to describe what Meraki is.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a Greek word that I came across like 6 years ago. And I was like, wow, what an awesome way to live. And that's why I made it the name of my business. It's the passion, soul, and love that you put into something. And it's the essence of yourself that you put into everything you do. Like,
wow.
It couldn't have fit better for me. And that's why it's my reminder that this is how I serve. It's also related. It also has a food relation, because in Greek culture, there's something like you can taste the love in the food.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a food reference. So I was down with it. I was like, I get that.
I like food.
So my business is called Meraki Inspired. And you can visit my website, sign up for my newsletter, which I don't bombard you with stuff with because our inboxes are full enough. But you can find out more about me, book a discovery call, 30 minutes for free to just see if maybe coaching or one of the programs I offer is right for you. And that's how you can connect. You can follow all the shenanigans on social media.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Susan. I really appreciate you being here and talking the real talk on what has changed your life today. I thank everyone for joining us. If you think somebody could benefit from hearing this conversation today, like and share this post with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Great talk, Susan. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye.